Welcome back. You're here for a deep dive, and today we're tackling something really fundamental, but also like surprisingly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The 450 most common English words.
Right.
Forget those endless vocabulary lists you see everywhere. Think of this more as your essential toolkit for just getting by, navigating everyday English.
Yeah, the core stuff.
Exactly. We've basically distilled the key insights from this really well-structured learning resource. It's an English course, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it breaks down daily life into these key themes, from your morning routine right through to how you actually talk to people.
That thematic approach is smart. So it's not just a random list.
No, not at all.
Because that's what makes this kind of collection really effective, I think.
Right.
It's how it's organized.
Right.
Taking that thematic route, grouping words by context. You mentioned daily routines.
Yeah, and things like items in your home, work, or school language.
Food, emotions.
Yeah.
The usual suspect.
All of those. Travel, shopping, health, and crucially, communication itself.
So it's about seeing how words actually, work together in real life, not just memorizing definitions.
Precisely. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. To figure out why getting a grip on these specific words gives you such a big advantage.
Right.
It's about making those daily interactions just smoother. Understanding people, being understood yourself,
Building that confidence, that's huge.
Absolutely. Getting that genuine sense of confidence when you're speaking English.
What's really interesting, too, is the efficiency of it.
How so?
Well, think about it. Everyday language, the stuff we actually use, tends to rely on a pretty small core of words.
That makes sense.
So by really focusing on these, say, 450 words, you're essentially hitting the high-frequency building blocks. The words that pop up constantly.
So you get the biggest return on your learning investment, kind of.
Exactly that. You're prioritizing what matters most for practical communication.
Okay. All right. So let's dive into that first theme you mentioned. Daily routines. Starting right from, waking up.
The very beginning.
Yeah, the source material kicks off with words like wake and alarm, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves logically to the actions, right? You might brush your teeth, hopefully with toothpaste.
Hopefully.
Look in the mirror, maybe take a shower, dry off with a towel.
Standard morning stuff?
Totally. Maybe use a comb, then you dress, put on your shoes, and just like that, you're getting ready.
It sounds incredibly basic when you list it like that.
It does. But imagine trying to explain that simple sequence if you didn't have those words.
You couldn't, really. Not easily. These words, they're the absolute foundation for describing something we all do every single day. And it's interesting how they cluster together, isn't it? Shower, towel, brush, toothpaste.
Yeah, the thematic organization really helps there. The source mentions using mini quizzes too.
Reinforcement.
Yeah.
That highlights a key thing about learning language, doesn't it?
What's that?
Words aren't learned in isolation, or at least they shouldn't be. Understanding how they relate to each other, the context, that's crucial for actually remembering and using them.
That makes sense. Okay, so speaking of context, right after getting ready, breakfast.
Queuing up.
Yep. So words like breakfast itself, obviously. Common items like eggs, bread, maybe some butter.
Can't forget the tea or coffee.
Never. Usually in a cup, maybe food on a plate. You might need a knife, a fork.
Again, so relatable. These words are just central to describing a simple meal.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, like you were saying.
Yeah, you can see immediately how even this small set lets you handle basic needs. Think about traveling.
Right.
Knowing just these simple food and utensil words, ordering breakfast in a cafe suddenly becomes way less intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. It turns something potentially stressful into just a simple transaction. Okay, so we've navigated the morning. The resource then logically moves on to at home.
Our immediate surroundings.
Exactly. So vocabulary for comfort items like sofa, bed, pillow, blanket.
Cozy words.
Then functional stuff. Lamp, switch for light, maybe a fan. The indispensable remote.
Don't lose the remote.
Never. And key appliances, right? Fridge, oven. These words paint a picture of our living space.
And what's effective there, I think, is how it taps into our spatial memory.
How do you mean?
We could easily picture these things, right? Sofa, bed, lamp. It creates a direct link between the word and the actual object in our mind.
Ah, like a mental hook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That concrete association is really powerful for learning. Makes the word stickier, easier to recall. The source is smart to organize it around familiar places like home.
Okay, moving out from our personal space. The next bit is work and school.
Right. Different context, different words.
Totally. The essentials shift. Tools like pen, pencil, notebook. Things like a chair to sit on.
Key people, too, like boss or teacher.
Yep. And concepts like a task you need to do, sending an email, taking a much-needed break.
Can't forget the break.
And technology, of course. Computer, maybe a project you're on.
This section really shows how language adapts, doesn't it? The words you need for the office or classroom are different from home, but just as vital.
For sure. Mastering these lets you actually participate, understand what's going on.
Function with confidence in those important areas of life.
Then we get into a topic most people like, food and eating.
Expanding beyond breakfast now.
Yeah, a broader range. Things like rice, chicken, vegetable, fruit.
The staples.
Tools we use too, like a spoon, a bowl. Actions like cook, and that basic feeling, hungry.
These must come up multiple times a day for everyone.
Definitely.
And the power here is that direct link to a basic human need, right? Food isn't just survival, it's culture, social interaction.
True.
Being able to talk about food, what you like, how to make it, sharing a meal that's fundamental for connecting with people in any language.
Good point. Okay, let's pivot slightly to something more internal. Emotions and feelings.
Ah, the tricky stuff sometimes.
Can be. But language helps us connect here on a deeper level. The source covers core words like happy, sad, angry, tired.
The basics.
And then more nuanced ones too, like bored, excited, nervous, relaxed, scared, proud.
Being able to express those and understand them in others,
Yeah.
that's critical for, well, relationships.
Absolutely crucial for interpersonal communication.
And it's a really significant part of language learning because it builds emotional literacy.
And emotional literacy.
Yeah, it's more than just swapping information. It's about understanding the complexities of being human.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Knowing these words lets you say how you feel and also develop empathy by recognizing how others might be feeling.
That's a really important dimension. Okay, so from our inner world, we venture back out with travel and transportation.
Turn around.
Yep. Equips you with the words for navigating the world, modes of transport. Car, bus, train, airplane.
The main ways.
And the practical bits. Ticket, map, road, driver, seat, luggage, whether it's the daily commute or exploring somewhere new. Super practical.
It really highlights how language helps us interact with the wider physical world. Knowing these words just lowers the stress of travel so much.
Oh, definitely.
Imagine trying to figure out a train system or ask directions without this basic vocabulary. Nightmare.
Total nightmare. Okay, next stop on the thematic journey. Shopping and money.
Commerce.
The essentials for buying things. Shop, price, and of course, money.
Can't do much without that one.
True. Payment methods. Wallet, card, cash. Concepts like expensive, cheap, and the basic actions. Buy, sell.
Again, incredibly practical. Groceries, markets, bills.
It's everyday stuff.
You need these words just to function and understand value in an economy.
Right. Now, turning our attention to health and body, obviously vital.
Absolutely.
Words related to well-being, the body, doctor, nurse, hospital.
Key places and people.
Basic body parts, head, hands, stomach. Common experiences, pain, needing medicine, having a fever. The importance of rest.
This is crucial vocabulary for communicating your physical needs.
For sure.
Being able to tell a doctor how you feel or understand basic health advice, it's fundamental for safety and well-being.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, finally, we arrive at communication and technology, a cornerstone of modern life, really.
Increasingly so.
So, words we use to connect: phone, message, email again, call, talk, chat.
How we interact now.
And essential tech terms: Internet, app, screen, battery. In today's digital world, you just can't avoid these.
Nope. Indispensable. This section really shows how language keeps evolving with technology, doesn't it?
It does.
These words reflect how we interact, share info, get services now. Being fluent here is essential for just participating fully.
So that's a really rapid tour through those key themes, isn't it? Just scratching the surface of those 450 core words from the source.
Yeah, but you can already see how they weave together.
Totally. They create this foundational understanding for just a huge range of everyday situations.
And the structure you mentioned, thematic examples, those mini quizzes, that really drives home how effective repetition and context are for learning. It's not just seeing a word, it's engaging with it, testing yourself, active learning.
Exactly. Active engagement. So maybe for everyone listening, as you go about your day, perhaps take a second to think, how many of these words do you already know?
Right.
For the ones that are maybe new or a bit fuzzy, think about the immediate impact practicing them could have. Just on your ability to understand and, express yourself more confidently.
Yeah, maybe even look back at a recent conversation.
Good idea.
See where these words popped up or where maybe you could have used one more effectively.
That's a great practical exercise.
Because getting this foundation of, say, 450 core words, it's not really the end goal, is it?
No, definitely not.
It's the starting point. It's the base for a much broader, more nuanced understanding later on.
Right. You master these essentials, build this solid platform.
And that opens the door to deeper, more meaningful communication down the road. You can start building more complex ideas on top of that solid base, understand more intricate stuff. It's foundational.